What's going on, everybody? My name is Chris, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to build a plaza in Skate 3 with no merge and no DLC. Let's get started. So the first thing when you're wanting to build a park is you got to decide where you want to have the park built. So I'm going to start with a new park, and today we're going to be doing it at the downtown park. The reason being is because I just really like the shadows that the downtown has. And because if you go to the backlot part, it's in the Skate Crate Upgrade Pack DLC, the shadows are a little bit harsher, and I don't personally like them as much, and because we're not using DLC for this park. So here we have the spawner. What we're going to do here is actually move it. And the reason being is I just like to get it out of the way since it's usually in the center of the park. And one thing that I do is I fill up the prop meter. And the reason being is that it kind of gives the tendency of having the game not be frozen or, hit a glitch. And then all of a sudden you might, spend 2-3 hours on a park and unfortunately use all of your, saved. So now we have the spawn moved. We have our prop meter full. We are ready to go. So one thing that you're going to notice if you are brand new to park building is that you want to build up the park off of the ground. And the reason being is that you can only put objects at a certain depth if you're at the normal level. So see, I can only stick this pad in halfway here. But the reason why we want to build something up a little bit is because, see, if I want to build like a ledge out of this, now I can because I can stick it in a lot deeper. So that's just the reason why I like to do that. And also you can kind of craft the area surrounding your park so it's just, you can get a little bit more creative with it. If you don't want to do this, that's fine, but it also is going to vary limit of what you're going to be able to do with your park build. We'll start off with a 3x3 square pad. We are not using any merge glitch. We have very limited amounts of putting objects into each other. Now, one thing that you're able to do with on the 360, and if you have the disc version of the game, you're able to put objects into each other essentially. So I'm going to put 3 here and then see how I get this red. It's a limit. Unfortunately, it is what it is. But if you have a disc version of the game, like I am on the Xbox One right now playing Skate 3, you still can actually put some objects into each other. It forces you to be a little bit more creative because there's just constraints being placed on you. I like the idea of having maybe like a long 4 stair maybe. As you can see, I placed that ramp right there. Now, one thing that we are going to do as well is that I'm going to place this pad on the bottom section right here. So this kind of cuts it in half. Now, I skate on the hardcore setting of the difficulty, so I kind of like to make stuff a little bit smaller. So you can see we place this stair right here, and we kind of have this top section here, which it doesn't look bad, but personally, I don't like the way that looks. So one thing we can do is we're going to grab this section that we have. Since I have snapping on, it snapped right under there. It should be pretty simple. And now what you can do is I like to hit LT to fine tune that, and essentially what this allows you to do is it allows you to just make it so you can do exactly what you want to do with it. So if I want to make it like this height for whatever reason, I can. And you all can also hit rotate. That does help, or essentially it doesn't make your object snap into the other thing. And there we go. So now we have this like 2 stair, but it's not going to be a 2 stair. If we duplicate this, so you can hit LB and then confirm, we're going to select snapping off so we can kind of play with it because it also can get a little finicky. So this is where you can fine tune it to your liking. If you want to make it kind of like a really weird like double set, totally cool. It's up to your liking. That's the fun thing about this is that I encourage you guys to get creative with your parks. You don't have to necessarily follow this park verbatim. If you want to use it as inspiration or follow along and then make your own tweaks, totally do it. It's not perfect, but you know what? We'll roll with it. We're going to actually extend this pad off a little bit as well. So now we have snapping on, which is totally cool. You might run into some issues, but you shouldn't. And then on this side, again, since we're making a plaza, it's going to be a lot of ledges, a lot of stairs, a lot of like manual pads. So I know I'm going to be using essentially this bottom part of the stair, and so that's why we're going to be placing this. So these are going to be at different levels than what we started with before. But now you can kind of see where like the vibe that I'm going at. So it's like you kind of skate from the top part of the park and then you go all the way down to the bottom. We're going to use the exact same concept. So you can actually have snapping on. If you just select that, select the other one. Now I have LT on. it'll kind of auto snap right there. And now we have kind of a longer stair set, and it actually looks pretty good. For the next section, I'm going to we're going to delete these, but the only reason why is I want to make them a bigger section so we have something kind of not necessarily to hide, but so when we add like a grass gap, it's just, I don't know. I like the idea of a flat grass gap, even though like a curved bank, like I guess that looks nicer. I don't know though. Ooh, I actually kind of don't mind this, where it's not actually flat, but it's still got like that angle to it. I don't know. Again, it's kind of just we're getting creative with it. So if you notice, there's a hidden like little mini cut here, whatever. That's totally cool. What we can do is just fine tune it, and we are going to have it so there's just a little bit of a lip there. We can even add like a rail for a detail right there. I like that actually. That's pretty cool. So for this thing right here, what I was thinking about actually was kind of making one of those, like you would see this in like more of a downtown area, but I like the idea of having maybe like some type of like big manual pad or something. I don't know. I think from like that side, because then you have a ledge you can skate going this way, or like a tall mani pad. The only thing is there's not like, I could add a rail right there actually. And what do we could figure it out. That's the thing. It's the fun thing about this is that we can get creative with what we want to do. We already have a pretty cool layout, and I'm just going to extend this pad over just one more because I want to just kind of, again, get the flow going. I'm going to copy this side as well. And we can edit if we want to change this to be a stair, like kind of on the other side, which I'm probably going to be doing, but we're going to leave it at that for right now. So now we're going into the ledges and rails part of it. And one thing we'll actually start off with actually is the Euro gap here. So I know there's probably going to be a ledge right here. It just, to me, it makes the most sense to have like either a long ledge. It feels like on this side of the park, might as well add something. So we can kind of adjust the height as to your liking, whatever you want to do. And I like it. It's just simple. It has like the nice concrete texture on it, and it skates pretty well. We can see the heights. It's not super high, but it's not super low. I actually really like that. I think it's a decent height. So I want to have this thing 2 pads wide. What I mean by that is, so this is one right here, and we want to have this double section right here. I just like it to be that way because I think it looks a little bit nicer. So you can see an issue that we have right now is that we can't place it here. Now, the reason why we're able to do that is because for certain like ledges and rails, and I believe foliage possibly, you can merge stuff in that you're not able to do with the other objects. And so what do we do is, so if I put these 2 objects together with collision off. Now, if we turn it back on, they'll place because we already put them together. Now, if we had collision on, I'm going to demonstrate that. So you can't put them together, but if you have them off and they're connected, you can move them around. And also another quick side note is that if you don't have this collision option that's right here, that's probably because you have a downloaded version of the Skate 3 game. And unfortunately, I don't know why they removed it from it, but it's not in the downloaded version of the game. Again, I don't know why, but if you have a disc version of it, you will have this option. So we're going to have collision on because it treats the objects differently. I really don't know why it does that. But now what we can do is fine tune and rotate exactly how we want to make this Euro gap and put it in. You'll notice we can't put it directly next to the ledge we added right here because it's the same type of an object. So if you wanted to, you could technically like eyeball it as best as possible if you really wanted it next to it and like essentially take the ledge out on top of it and then grab all 3 objects together, but that's totally fine. I personally don't really care too much about it. Now we're just kind of eyeballing the stairs. So I'm actually going to probably have this lined up pretty close because I know I'm going to add a rail like directly on there. You can, again, kind of finesse and do whatever you want to do. But that looks pretty good, like 3 stairs. Like I don't want to make it super big. I want to make it so it's relatively easy to skate. And that's one thing you'll see especially in this series. You just want to test your stuff. So I like that. You know, it's simple. Now you can kind of get the flow of the park, so we can skate down here. We have this ledge up here. It's very simple, and I think it'll be a very skatable park. That's the idea behind it. So I like this Euro gap. I think it's killer. We're going to go with that. And then the next thing I'm going to do kind of another rail up here. Yeah, I like that. You know, just having a rail on this side, we can do it angled. That actually looks pretty good. Okay, well, I'll just go with that. So all I did there, the reason why I move this over to the side, like I said, is because I'm going to be adding a rail right here. If you notice, this won't go in, so you got to be just mindful of it. And I just took the flat rail and just kind of modified it as best as I could to the same thing, and I mean, there we go. Like, it's easy as that, especially once you get some of the stuff in. Especially if you're playing with the size of like the objects and the way that the game was created, it makes it easier versus some of the smaller stuff. You gotta get a little bit creative with it. Yeah, that rail looks really good. It skates well for the most part. So on this side, again, we can kind of figure out, like, if we just want to add some foliage here, I think I'm going to do that. Yeah, we'll add like a rail that goes flat. It's like somewhere in this, but I want to just add some quick foliage. I think it just looks nicer. You have some stuff in the, especially in your grass gap, like you can just move it around. I'm just rotating these because I think it just makes it so it doesn't look as copy and pasted. We can even add like a tree and go like that, but we'll worry about that in a minute. So the next thing I want to add is the rail, and I think to me it makes sense to be a square rail. I don't know about this fence rail though. I don't know how good that'll look. Again, similar to the other technique, we will turn collision off. And now I'm just gonna merge this item. I normally don't really use rails like this. That seems like to be a decent height. Again, let's just skate it. I kind of like that look. I've never really used that fence rail like that before with like having the bottom section right there. I think that, I don't know, I think it looks pretty cool. You know what, might as well just add that quick foliage at the end. So a trick you can do is if you use the fall tree, I'm gonna turn snapping off just so it doesn't like go in. But if you merge it all the way down, you can kind of get like this cool, like where it just looks like trees. I don't know. It just looks like foliage. That's the whole point of it. That's why we're doing it. So it just doesn't look just like a grass plane. You can even add color, but I don't think it really needs it. I know I kind of messed up on that one part, but that looks fine. So then for this next section over on this side, so we're gonna select the fancy ledge and I wanna add something up here. See how this one side is grinded a little bit? What we're gonna do is use the same thing, rotate it 180 degrees, and then now we're gonna select it and then merge it down in the bottom. And now we can, again, this is where you can fine tune stuff. You turn snapping off, figure out exactly where you wanna put it. So I'm gonna have it lean a little bit more on this. I don't know if I either go down the center, which is, I think the center part's gonna be fine. And I wanna have it so you can skate going up it. And so I wanna leave a little gap right there. I don't wanna have it go all the way up against it. And I don't want it to be super tall. I will be also coloring stuff too because a good color scheme to a park really does help out. So right there, I like that. And if we just try to skate going up it, I think it'll look nice. There we go. Boom. I think I'm gonna do a flat rail on the top side. And one thing we can do to make it look a little bit more bougier, we just take these triple rails, and right now I have collision off. We can kind of just copy and then have them go into each other. And you'll see like you always get that message, but we'll turn snapping off, collision on, and then now you can place it. So I'm gonna have it on the end right here, just because it just feels like it sections off the park pretty well. Again, adjust the height to whatever you want to do. If that looks a little low, that's fine. I think it's so you can still do flip tricks. We can get creative with what we want to do here. We can add like something like this, which I don't think it looks bad, honestly. We could add a rail. I feel like though I want to do something a little bit more creative. That's why I kind of want to. I like the idea of doing like a double bench or something. Like I don't know why, but I think that looks kind of cool. For this, since I want to do double, I want them to be the same. I'm gonna place one up facing this way. We're gonna rotate it again 180 degrees, and then we're just gonna kind of have it go over here. And I'm curious if this will be. Ooh, I wonder if that's like grindable. So again, we get kind of into this issue of like where stuff can't be merged in, but now all of a sudden like it can, so I don't get that. So I don't want this to be super tall. This is where it's just kind of like we just gotta like not eyeball it, but you gotta kind of just see, all right, what's gonna work, like try it out, because different angles of certain objects might look better than others, or it might skate better. Like who knows if this thing even's gonna skate. All right, that actually does skate, and that's kind of cool. And then you can, I wonder, so you can skate probably like this ledge. So that's like a little bit more low pop, but hey, whatever. Like we can do whatever we want. You could even just add a prop rail there. Honestly, that might just do it fine as well. But for the most part, I think that's good because we have this ledge, bench, the rail looks very clean, and I think it's relatively skatable. All right, so that is gonna do it for this section of the park. So we were able to finish kind of a good chunk of the park. And I think, again, you know, the cool thing about this is that we're not using any DLC, we're not using any merge glitch, and it's very simple, yet it still just looks clean and it's skatable. That's the whole point of it. And I want to just show you guys how to make, you know, just again, a little bit more of a clean, classic kind of plaza type park. And so far, I think we've absolutely accomplished it. there's still a lot to be done with this park. That we got to build the whole surrounding part of it. We got to build another section of it, and we also just got to be able to detail it. And that's a really important part of it as well. And we'll get into it in later episodes, but I want to make sure that we're getting just detail, making the park feel like it's just not like plopped on here, like really like half-assed. Like we want to be able to put some like just a little bit of effort into it, and I think it'll come out really nice. So yeah, I think that'll be really good. So if you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure you click that like button. Other than that, hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you later. Peace.